So is this the kind of crap you're getting when you print? Maybe it's time we talk about some temperature towers. So how's it going, everyone? Today I just wanted to take a quick minute to talk to you about the importance of printing temperature towers and how they can have a major effect on the results of your print. So I was having issues with prints that were failing, and it was either I was getting bad layer adhesion, or I was getting a bad first bed down, or I was getting a lot of zits, I was getting a lot of bridges that were failing, just all sorts of different things that I was running into as I was printing these. And I kind of took the newbie approach of, well, it's a PLA, it's a brand, it's pretty much the same temperature for that brand and that PLA, across the board. And I came to learn really, really quickly that that's not the case. There's a lot of factors. Even sometimes the same brand and the same color can vary from batch to batch. And I've actually run into this, especially with I ran into it with Hatchbox Black, surprisingly. But I've also run into, massive temperature differences between colors. So it's really important that you go through and you print some temperature towers as one of the very first things you do. You should measure out your PLA. If you have one of them, you take one of these great little guys, these calipers, and you actually measure in 3 or 4 different places along your filament, the first 4 feet, 3 feet or whatever. Just whatever. Take a few measurements, and if you're working with 1.75, make sure that it's actually 1.75. If you're getting different measurements, take a few more measurements, and then take all those measurements, sum them up, divide them by the amount of measurements you took, and come up with the average. And make sure you plug that into your slicer, whether it be Cura or Simplify 3D or whatever you're using. So first, let me start by showing you an example of what I'm talking about. So I was trying to print a battery case for my Zone Star, and this is what happened. Now, I didn't think too much of it other than, hey, the temperature must be just need to be a little hotter. I ran this at 195, maybe it was 200, I think it was 200. But if you notice, let me just let this fall. What happened was the temperature wasn't hot enough, and you can literally just pull it apart, layer by layer. The layers literally come apart and separate. And this is because I wasn't running it hot enough. So I ran it again, I bumped it up, I believe it was 10 degrees, and I printed this. Now this one came out a lot better, but I could tell by looking at it, especially when I was removing the supports. The supports were very flimsy and very strange feeling. And then when I took a closer look at this, I realized that it's the same thing. If I press here, I can literally, there you go. There you go. And you can actually see in the base layer how just absolutely horrible that base layer looked. And I thought maybe it was because of my first layer settings, but it wasn't. It was actually turned out to be because of the print temperature in this particular case. So at that point, I decided I was going to go ahead and run a print tower. Now, this was my first experience with running red, and this is actually MatterHacker's red. Just the build series, and I was quite surprised that when I ran the temperature tower on this, that it actually printed best at 215 degrees. Now, let me tell you first that this particular temperature tower that I'm using is called Temperature Tower. Why can I not say this? It's called Temperature Tower with Shapes. It's kind of a tongue twister. It's by Mike Neuron, I believe, something like that. I believe I'll have the link down in the description below. I like this temperature tower, and the reason I like it is because not only this one's short because it cut off, but let me show you a full one. Not only does it have a lot of different temperatures that you can test, but it has the good bridge span in between all of them. It has the under angles over here, so you can see how it handles these angles. And there's 2 different angles. This angle over here is much more of a severe angle than this one, which is about a 45. In the sides, if you can see that, it has little towers. Of course, it has the cutouts in between over here. On the front, it has the numbers on this side. This side, it has an oval. This side, it has these little cylindrical pyramids along with the cutouts. On the back, it has an inverted diamond, or an inverted pyramid, triangle upside down. And then over here, it has a circle. So this is testing a lot of different things. And this is a great, fantastic thing to run. It doesn't take long. It takes, I don't know, maybe 2 hours or so, maybe 2.5 hours, depending on what speed you're running. But it's really worth your time because you're going to save yourself hours and hours of frustration on your prints. So as you can see, and this is a Hatchbox copper, I believe, and this came out at the best temperature at 195, which is pretty much your standard PLA temperature. But like I said, this Matter Hackers Build Red PLA came out best temperature on this at 215, at least for this printer, and that's something else you need to keep in mind. You know, you can kind of say, hey, this is the temperature on this printer so I can use it for all my printers, but it's really best to run it on each printer you have, especially if you have different types of setups. For instance, on my Ender here that's printing, I'm running a Micro Swiss high temp 300C with, you know, flexible material hot end on it. But on my Raptor over here, it's a direct drive and it's a different hot end setup. This is Matter Hackers Purple, and this is PLA. And much to my surprise, most of the temperatures came out pretty even. But what I did notice is that 220 on this one, for some reason, just seemed to be the sweet spot, at least on the Ender 2 printer with the Micro Swiss setup that I have. Now, like, this is a Pearl PLA from Toner Plastics that I love, and I use a lot of this. And this actually, I had to print in a smaller tower that's designed for printing PETG because I already knew that this runs at hotter temperatures. So this one ran best at 235. The towers are smaller, they range between 230 and 260, whereas the PLAs run between 185 and 220. This eSun PETG Purple, this you can see this has two different things circled on this one. Now this is a perfect example in this particular case of where two different printers gave me two different temperature readings. And then another eSun PETG. I've only tested this on the Ender 2 so far, but I have my rating on this one. Matter Hackers Red PETG, and then of course a Matter Hackers Clear Transparent PETG. So it's very important that you run your temperature tests on each of your printers because, like I said, as you can see from this eSun Purple, it's different depending on which printer I'm printing on. But again, make sure you go and download. If you don't download this temperature tower, there's lots of great ones out there. There's quicker ones. I like this one because it gives a very wide range of tests during the temperature tower print, and you can really see what's going on. So make sure you test print your different filaments, your different brands, your different colors, and try to do it on your different machines. If you can figure out the typical temperature differences between your machines, you know that you always print 5 degrees hotter on your Micro Swiss or something like that, then that's fine. But make sure you test at least each filament. Don't forget to check the filament diameter. And guys, hey, if y'all like these videos, please make sure and you subscribe, click the like button, and you can click the little bell icon over there to get you notifications on when new videos go live. We will be coming back in the next couple of weeks. We've got a lot of stuff to follow up on. We're going to follow up on the Ender 2 and do a 1-month review on it. And then we're going to come back to the Zone Star the following week. And then the following week we'll hopefully come back to the Raptor again. And we'll do updates and we'll do more tips. If y'all have any ideas or things that you would like to see covered in a video, please just leave a note in the comments. And I'll try to make sure that we get around to it. Until then, remember, it doesn't matter what you're making, as long as you're making matter. I'm Jason, 3D Matter Makers, and we'll catch you next time.